If McCarthy is let go, if he's fired,
He won't
is
be
it
let
Bill
go.
Belichick's team?
No.
All right.
But he won't be let go. Jerry's going to give him next year is going to be a huge year for him. And that's what he does. He's not let go. I'm telling you. Adam Schefter doesn't have a clue how Jerry operates.
All right.
Adam
I
Schefter
mean,
just
I
shock value. It's more shock value.
all right, maybe so. Maybe so. I know he's been most of the time he's on the money when he calls something, Jim. Most of the time he is. So we'll see what happens over there. So let's talk a little bit with Sonia here. She hasn't got a chance to talk too much. She's she's a member of that NFC South, and a little bit about the Tampa Bay game against the Eagles. Well, how surprised were you that Tampa Bay? I mean, we thought that Philadelphia would. Most of us thought Philadelphia would lose, but we didn't think they were going to get stomped on by Tampa Bay.
Yeah, so thanks for the opportunity to finally speak. The toilet bowl of the NFL, my entire division, was a cat fight with the exception of my Panthers for the top of the division. I thought because Philly had been playing inconsistently and had in fact lost 6 of their last 7 games, that it was a good chance they would lose to Tampa. But like you said, I didn't expect it to be the way it was. After all, Baker was playing with bruised ribs and an injured ankle as well. I think they said it was sprained. But Baker normally plays with a compression sleeve kind of on his upper body anyway. He didn't look injured to me, despite taking a couple of big hits. He got up and kept it moving. I think it came down to it's playoff time. It's a different caliber. It's almost like all of these playoff teams are 0-0 when they start because it's all in and nothing from the past matters. And I think even though Philadelphia did bring that same energy they brought, I think they really did underestimate Tampa. I think they felt like, okay, it's just Tampa. They're at the bottom of the entire NFL for all intents and purposes because of the division. And I just think they got out coached. I think I made that comment earlier on you and Jack's show this morning. They got out coached and outplayed across the entire board. Jalen Hurts was sitting to himself. He looked like he was detached from the team. And I always talk about the mental of a team. If you have lost your mental, especially in the quarterback, you have lost the game before you even take the field. So with the combination of how Philadelphia was already playing and the fact that Tampa is on a mission to basically prove the world wrong at this moment, that, yeah, we came from a bad division, but we're here and we belong here. I think that's what it comes down to. Now, I do not see them getting past the Lions. I do not see that at all. But just to know that they advanced past the wild card is very advantageous to that organization and to Todd Bowles. So kudos to him.
Yeah, I think Todd Bowles will have his job. I think Baker Mayfield's back next year. I'm not too sure about Evans after those 2 big drops. Maybe he's starting to lose it a little bit. I mean, he's still a good receiver. Will be with any
Evans
team.
Was already he's already up for the end of his contract anyway. And in fact,
right.
There was some rumblings early on that the Panthers were interested in him because of I believe it was Bryce that was a big fan of his or that had a relationship with him and wanted to bring him to Carolina. So he did have 2 major drops, but sometimes we see that in players when, unfortunately, I just think they kind of give in or resolve when they know they're on their way out. Anyway, look at Kyle Shanahan, how he left the playbook at the airport when he's on his way already signed and sealed with San Francisco and left the Falcons hanging in the Super Bowl. So I just feel like it's the same way. Unfortunately, some players and coaches just don't give their all when they know they're on their way out regardless.
I don't know if it's that. I think, it's just
that's
sometimes it happens. I mean, you see it with great receivers. Some day they have off days, they have off plays, but they find a way to come back. I think Mike Evans will be fine. Look how good Diggs is. And he might have a couple of bad plays, but then he comes back and has great plays. And that's the same thing. CeeDee Lamb, he didn't start off well, but he finished well.
Dak was all in CD's face in that game. You could tell he was livid a couple of times with CD.
But Jim, CD and Diggs is a lot younger than Evans is right now. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying
Yeah,
that
I
he
know
won't
what you're
hook
saying,
up with
but
another team.
I think
I'm just
Evans
saying,
can help a team win, and I think he can help.
yes, yeah, I agree
he's
with that.
legendary in
I agree.
Tampa, and are they going to keep him? I don't know, but he'll help somebody win. He's still got some juice.
He still put up over 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah, what's his
Yeah,
10th or
I don't
11th time he's
Just
done it?
about to
Every
get
year
into
he's
his
been in the
stats.
NFL.
Yes.
I
Exactly.
think Mike
in a row.
Evans would actually be good
Yeah,
over
yeah.
in Carolina. Because
Or
if you think about it, if you think about it, you got Bryce Young there, right? Okay, what is the best thing for a young quarterback to have?
A great receiver.
A great receiver who's a veteran, who's been around, who knows the game, who knows what's expected, knows how to play it at a high level.
yes,
All right. And I think that personally, Carolina would be foolish not to go after Mike Evans.
Not only that, we're not sure if Adam Thielen is coming back or not. That was Bryce's go-to guy as his tight end. Thielen has been quoted as saying, no matter what happens, it's been real, basically. And that leads us to all believe he may not come back next season.
Sure.
The question is, will Michael Evans want to go to Carolina? That's the question there.
and that is a good point because he wants to probably be closer to winning championships than going to a team that's good. So you make a good point there.
And right now we're uncertain. So I think it would literally look at who we got as head coach. Now, if we bring Belichick or Dan Quinn there, that may look more attractive to him, and especially Jim Harbaugh. If we got the right coach, I think that could make Carolina look more attractive to anybody because, we're in a rebuild, but you get a solid veteran coach in there that has proven that they are championship caliber. And I think that he may reconsider, Jim.
That's a possibility, but Harbaugh's going. If he's going anywhere, he's going to the Chargers.
He's going to Chargers, yeah.
Or the Raiders.
He's got a house out there.
He's going to the West Coast.
So a couple side notes to Cleveland. The Cleveland Browns, they fire their looks like their running back coach, Stump Mitchell, and the tight end coach.
TC McCartney, that was the old man's son, grandson. Yeah.
And then they fired their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, Alex Van Pelt. I played with Alex in Buffalo.
And the Saints offensive coordinator was fired as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was there since 2009 too. That was kind of shocking.
Very true. Very true. Loyalty is not in the NFL too much anymore, Anthony. Nobody's loyal to anybody.
Not for long. That's what the NFL stands for. Not for long.
Exactly. So let's get to some Jets news. There is Jets. That's true. There is Jets news out there. Believe it or not. Let's see. One piece of good Jet news, of course, is Bill Belichick is not coaching the Patriots anymore. So that does help the Jets out a little bit. He's always been a thorn in their side since he's been there in one way or another, whether it's on the field or stealing draft picks or whatever. He's always kind of driving the spike a little bit farther than what he should. So that's a good thing for him, CJ. Also, Rodgers was back on the McCaffrey show after he was banned. I think McCaffrey said, "You're not coming on because of what happened with with the Kimball there." Yeah. So anyway, so he was back, but he was in the woods. So he came live from the woods. I guess he's going to go get in his hut, have some shrooms, contemplate next year. I don't know what he's doing in the woods right now, but that's where he was. So that's another piece of good news there for you. And your offensive tackle, Beckman, and Breece Hall kind of ripped into the Jets offensive line coach. So what do you think about those things happening, CJ?
The Jets offensive line coach should have been fired midway through the season because of the fact that not only with the offensive line coach, not only with the offensive line's attrition, but also with their level of play. You had guys that were playing, you had guys that were missing assignments, your quarterbacks were getting killed. So, and plus on top of it, your skill position players couldn't get the ball. Your running game was not existent. So, regardless of who it was back there, whether it was Zach Wilson, whether it was, Trevor Siemian, whether it was, I don't even care at this point. So, or even Tim Boyle, there is no one who would have been able to function behind this Jets offensive line for a full 17-game season. So I personally think that for them to run it back with the entire coaching staff intact, there really needs to be some things looked at. And first and foremost, that offensive line needs to get redone. You need to get a different coach in there. You need to get somebody who is going to force these guys to play to the level that they're supposed to. Okay. And, we actually talked about this a few weeks back. We don't have coaches that teach people the game anymore. And I remember you saying this, Mac. I remember Jim seconding this. And it's the truth. But now when you go and take a look at the teams that are all left standing right now in the NFL playoffs. What's the one thing about them that you can honestly say that is consistent throughout? The offensive line. Your offensive lines are playing well. They're all relatively healthy. And even if they're not relatively healthy, they're still playing at a somewhat functional, serviceable, high level. So this is what aggravates me as a Jets fan is if all of these other teams in the NFL can do this, what is the problem with the New York Jets that they can't do this?
I know what you're saying, CJ, but you got to find the right guy.
Right.
And the problem is finding the guy that fits what the coordinator's doing. And I know they didn't have Aaron Rodgers and things of that nature, but offensive line coaches are valuable. That's why they last so long. You see offensive line coaches coaching into their 70s. They're not easy to find.
But, you go and take a look at offensive line coaches. There's Bill Callahan, and then there's everybody else. It's like you need to tell me that Joe Douglas couldn't make a phone call to say, hey, Bill Callahan, hey, we'd love for you to come and, talk about we'd love for you to come to the Jets and fix our offensive line. Mm-hmm. You mean to tell me that Joe Douglas couldn't get on the phone, pay this guy $6 million, $10 million, whatever the hell he wants, give him whatever the hell he wants. Mm-hmm. Callahan's coach.
Listen, listen, the Jets' run game was not that bad. Breece Hall ran for a lot of yards this year. Especially to that left side, I think that's where Becton plays. They had a decent running game, CJ. They just couldn't throw the ball worth nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the problem is, again, if your offensive line needs to be multi-directional. You need to be able to have guys that can pass protect, and you also need to be able to have guys that can open up run lanes. That makes your run lane, that makes the running game more efficient. The NFL, it doesn't matter if it's becoming a passing league and this, that, and the third. Your run sets up your pass. If you don't establish a run game, right? That's
the problem. And he make a great point. Some of these gurus or geniuses, Mike McCartney is one of them. They do the pass to set up the run. They do it backwards.
It's the opposite.
That gets them because they didn't have the running game to control the game. I like Pollard as a person, but as a running back, he's not your toe. He's not going to carry the load. Mm-hmm. Bryce Hall can, and that's what you need to be successful.
I agree.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing that I want to see next year, besides the revamped offensive line, I really want to see the New York Jets three-headed monster. I want to see Breece Hall being showcased. I want to see Izzy Abanikanda. There was actually another kid that off the practice squad that they actually signed him to a contract. I don't remember the kid's name, but he's even really good. So it's like you have weapons in the backfield. Plus, you have a very competent fullback in Nick Bawden, and they need to do everything they can to hold on to him. Okay? There is absolutely no reason that if the New York Jets offensive line is even 16th in the league, and I'm talking middle of the road, serviceable, that this New York Jets team is currently constructed can be successful and actually make a playoff run.
And it depends on the health of Rodgers, because he's going to help. He's going to help that offensive line.
He's not going to be the same coming back from that injury. We don't have anybody to kind of compare that to. And with his age, I think we're not going to see the same Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I had a defensive lineman, Greg Ellis, who came back from an Achilles injury, and he made the Pro Bowl. So there are that.
But different, but that's also a different position, Jim. So
let's can do. Watch, you see it, because they're not putting as much pressure. They're stepping back.
Well,
and making think about a deep.
We'll see. Let me give you a little. Let me get a little Giant news in here before we close out. And I want to talk a little bit about defense compared to offensive coaches too at the end of the show. So the biggest Giants news, of course, is Wink Martindale. Whether he's going to stay or go, he's still in the contract. There's $3 million on the table for him. I don't think he'll end up staying because of the.
He's already gone. They agree. Well,
he's not completely out.
Yeah, he's completely out.
I don't think so. I think
out. I'm positive. Look it up.
I know he left. I know he left the building, Jim. I don't. He's still. From what I understand, he's still in the contract. They gave him 1 year left.
He interviewed for a couple of jobs already. So he's out, because they were thinking about some possibility.
Well,
so they made a deal. He didn't get the $3 million. They just let him go.
Right. All right. Well, that could be. I didn't see that. So, but anyway, besides that, you got Saquon Barkley, right? What are the Giants going to do with them? The Giants still have him under contract. So do they sign him for a couple of years? Do they franchise tag him? Or do they just trade him and see what they can get for him at this point in his career? I know there's some teams that would love to get their hands on Saquon Barkley. I don't know what they'd be willing to give up for him, but all three things could happen. And I want to see what you guys think. I mean, you all know what Saquon Barkley is, a weapon. He's not just a running back. Out of the backfield, catches the ball, can block well. I mean, it's just a good back. So I would imagine the Panthers would definitely want Saquon Barkley, Sonia.
I was thinking.
I don't think the Buffaloes would. Yeah, I don't think Buffalo would turn him down. I don't think Dallas would turn him down. I don't think the Jets would turn him down. So what do you guys think? What do you think, Sonia? What do you think is going to happen to Saquon?
I think that he probably will go to another agency. I hope it's us, because we don't have any drafts. So maybe we could just do some swap arounds and get him, since he's a veteran. He'd be great. We need that type of weapon in our offense. And fingers crossed.
Yeah, I mean, Anthony, he's only 26 years old. He's still relatively young. He hasn't played every year, so he's still got some tread in the tires. He'd be a weapon for a Buffalo. Imagine him and Cook in the same backfield.
Yeah, I just think that Saquon Barkley would command a lot more. It's a similar situation as to Dalvin Cook going to the Jets. I mean, you just have too much of a workload already given to somebody else. Where are you going to find your carries? The same thing happened right now. We just had Leonard Fournette. We released him from our practice squad. We have our back situation set at this present moment.
I agree.
How about Dallas, Jim?
Dallas, yes. He could do it, and he'd be.
I could see him in Dallas.
I could see him in Dallas. But what could Dallas get up to get him? And will they trade him in division? Normally, they don't trade guys like that in division. So that's what I say.
Very true. Very true. And you guys got basically Saquon Barkley there with Bryce Hill there, Breece Hall. Sorry, you got basically a Saquon Barkley there with him, and you do have a full running back room over there too.
Yeah, as much as the thought of having Saquon Barkley as a New York Jet does sound quite inviting, but the thing is, I would think that Saquon Barkley, if he's going to be dealt, he would want to be dealt to a contender. He would want to go and get a Super Bowl ring. So I could potentially see him going to maybe a Dallas, maybe possibly a Baltimore. But another place that I could also see him going is maybe to San Francisco to complement Christian McCaffrey, which would also take a lot of stress and workload. Or, believe it or not, and I know this is probably going to be like a out of left field, don't be surprised if Kansas City dips their toe in the water.
Makes sense.
Because you can platoon him with Ivan Pacheco, and you have another back who can actually catch passes out of the backfield. You can line up as a receiver. You can do a lot of misdirection. He does offer another layer of complexity to
I agree.
your offense, provided you use him properly. And plus, Andy Reid, come on now.
Yeah, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Giants have done some dealings over the last few years, so maybe that's
What about
a
Denver?
potential there.
Denver's actually interesting, believe it or not, because it all depends on whether or not they're going to keep Russell Wilson as quarterback. I think
It looks like he's going to be cut more than likely. Is what I heard.
So let's just say in a vacuum, let's say that if Barkley were in fact to be traded to Denver, okay, and in a vacuum, Sean Payton decides he does want to keep Russell Wilson. You add a couple pieces to that offensive line, get another skill position player on the outside. You now could have a very, very functional offense, which could potentially be rather dangerous.
Mhm.
I think it's an upgrade for most teams, not all teams. You Eagles can't get every free agent, Chris. I mean, I know you guys want every free agent out there. You know, that's the Eagles are greedy. They're just greedy. They want everything. So let me get into
Barkley
the
would not go to the
offense
Eagles.
versus
I don't think he would get dealt in.
the defensive.
Like you said, they would never deal
I
in,
don't
in
think
the,
so either.
in
So
the division.
let's talk. I don't think so. So let's talk a little bit about defense versus the offensive coordinator, head coach kind of thing, right? So in the beginning of the year, we all thought, well, every team wants to have the offensive head coach. Miami has it, right? And all these teams like Sirianni and McCarthy, and all of a sudden we kind of retract here, and we're seeing that the defensive head coaches are the ones that are in the championships and are the ones that are most sought after as far as NFL coaches right now. Bill Belichick, Harbaugh is an offensive coach, but he knows the defensive side. His brother is going to maybe go to the Super Bowl, defensive head coach. You've got the Titans.
Team.
I mean, not the Titans.
John was
the Texans. Well, right. The Texans, though, Jim. I mean, that's a defensive head coach.
Ryan, DeMarco.
And
So you're seeing that
Dan
Todd Bowles and obviously
right.
Dan Quinn should never get another head coaching job in the NFL.
Dan Quinn was interviewed by the Panthers today.
Yeah, he was, and he was
Please
Of course he was.
pray that they do not hire him. Please.
Brady, the Buffalo is another defensive head coach. I mean, these are again, it's showing you defense.
No, Brady was an offensive
At the end of the year is
Joe Brady was he was the quarterback coach.
Yeah, and he was at Carolina, and then he was at LSU with Joe Burrows.
Yep.
So.
right. But he ran Buffalo's defense as the head coach too.
Leslie
So anyway,
Frazier was
I
interviewed, I believe, for head coaching vacancies too, and that's the former defensive coordinator for the Bills. So there's
Yes.
another example.
I would love for Leslie
Very
Frazier
true.
to get another head
Very
coaching
true.
job.
So I mean,
Old man Leslie.
Yeah, I know Leslie for
Salah,
years.
another
Actually,
Salah,
Great guy.
another
Great
Salah's
coach
a-
too.
he's a good guy.
The Jets head coach again, defensive head coach. All I'm saying is that
yeah, Jeff
defense
Ulbrich?
still. What?
The Lions defensive coordinator and San Fran's defensive coordinator probably head coaching candidates too. After the playoffs.
Johnson.
I would agree.
Here's a sleeper name I want you
We're
guys
interviewing
to
him too.
Aaron Glenn. That's a sleeper name. Aaron Glenn.
Yes.
I
I'm
like
telling you,
Aaron,
Yes.
but look at
He,
the stats.
he
Look
will
at the-
be, within the next 3 years, he will be an NFL head coach.
Yeah, maybe so. And then you got the offensive coordinators like Bieniemy. He may be out of a job.
Yeah.
I mean, listen,
Yeah.
the only point I'm trying to make with all this is that defense is still the thing that wins the games near the end of the year. And a good defensive head coach. All you need is a good offensive coordinator, and you can.
Yeah.
Yes, and you got yourself a team. So anyway,
Mhm.
folks, incredible amount of comments, likes, and shares and loves. I thank you all for tuning in. Pags checked out early. Be sure to check him out after the show on the
Thanks, checked out a
NSCE
long
show.
time ago.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And followed by after that, you have, of course, J&B Talking Shop at 8 o'clock. You got Sonya with her show, All Things Football from a Lady's Perspective, coming on after that show at 9 o'clock. So we're running all night here. So stay on Roku channel. Thank you, Anthony, for coming in. We love having you in here talking about the Bills. Then, of course, CJ, always a pleasure having you here. And I'm proud of you. You didn't swear as much as you normally do. So I'm
CJ
very
is my
proud of
man.
you.
Go Bills.
He's gonna be
And
on
now
with
you
me
got
tonight at
Anthony here.
9.
He's a my man. Shoot.
He's gonna be
Buffalo
on with me
and-
tonight
Yes.
at 9.
I can't.
Well,
wait.
maybe
It's gonna be
saving the
fun.
swears for your show. Hopefully,
No.
All right. Hey guys, thanks. You guys, thanks again. Have a good one, and everybody have a good Satan night. Stay with Roku. Have a good one, folks.
All right.